Right, now let's turn to page 8 and get into selling. How to prospect and qualify the decision maker. We can go into a company and say to the receptionist, could I speak to the marketing manager, please? Or could I speak to the IT manager? That will give the receptionist the clue that you don't know this person and that you're doing a cold call. So they're less likely to put you in through to the person if you don't know the name of the person. But obviously you've got to do your research call. So sometimes it might take 2 calls to get through to the person you want, because you need to find out some information from the receptionist about who it is and what you need to know in order to speak to the decision maker. So you would say, could you give me the name of the marketing manager, please? Thank you. And then say, could you put me through, please? And if you say thank you after please, that throws them a bit sometimes. So you can say, could you put me through to him, please? Thank you. Now, if you go in and say, could I speak to the marketing manager, please? The receptionist might put you straight through. You don't even have the name of the manager, which is not good rapport building. And you're not prepared for that call. So it's very important to do that. If you don't know the name of the person, to get it up right up front, and so that you can actually call the person by name when you get through. So you get the name of the person. Could you put me through now, please? Thank you. And they say, no, he's busy. They realise it's a cold call. No, he's busy. He doesn't take calls, or something like that. And you say, okay, that's fine. Now, do you remember what I said right at the beginning? Use this call to get some information about the company. So you might say, if you want to find out, what software they're currently using, how many stations they have, how many salespeople do they have there. Ask those questions to the receptionist so you get some information to go in on. So use the receptionist to the best of your ability. And then then she might put you through. But if the person won't put you through, okay, then you get all the information, put the phone down, and then ring back later in the afternoon or the next day, and then you can go in and say, good morning, could I speak to Mr. So-and-so, please, because you've got the name. Could I speak to Mr. So-and-so, please? Thank you. Say thank you straight after with confidence, and you do it standing up so you've got more authority in your voice. And could I speak to Mr. So-and-so, please? Thank you. Then, if they won't put you through, still, which department in a company is not good at gatekeeping? Have a guess. Who are helpful people in a company? Salespeople and customer service, yeah. So, or accounts, because they want to get rid of you fast. They're not people normally, so they want to just get rid of you. So, say, could you put me through to sales, please? Just go. If the receptionist just will never put you through, could you put me through to sales, please? Thank you. So you go to the sales department and say, I was wanting to speak to Mr. Brown, please. Oh, you've got the wrong department. I'll put you through. Bang. Or you go to accounts, and usually they say accounts payable or accounts receivable, and choose whichever, and then go through to them and then say, I wonder if you can, could I speak to Mr. So-and-so, please? And they say, oh, you got the wrong department. I'll put you through. So they just want to get rid of you. So try a different department. We have ways and means of getting through, right? So one of those ways will work. Another thing you can do is to say, they say, what's it about? You know how they go, what's it about? And you think, mind your own business. But never mind, you say, I'm calling about, and it should be a major benefit to the person. So I'm calling about how we can save him $30 on his whatever you want to save money on, whatever you're talking about. So, or I'm calling about how we can save him $300 a week on his recruitment process if you're a recruiter. So it's a major benefit to the customer. So I'm not calling about you're right, what you're using in the IT department. I'm not calling about a mathematics program we've got. That's not. You don't tell them what you're calling about. You tell them about the major benefit you're offering. Okay. So then you're also more likely to get through. But you could also say, I'm wanting to write him a letter. If they say, what's it about? I'm wanting to write him a letter, and I need to ask him something personally in order to ascertain whether this is, ascertain how his interest. So, or I'm wanting to write him a letter to verify something before I send it. Someone in a group said, "Oh, just tell him it's about his wife." I suggest you don't do that, but I'm sure that will get you through too. But say I'm wanting to write a letter. Okay, that can get you through too. Anybody else got any other ideas? Group always has good ideas.
I was just going to say, reaching the decision makers, so many people don't bother looking at the website, and the marketing manager and all the other key players are usually on the website. You need to find that out.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly.
If it's not easy to find them on the website, there's actually a Google tip you can do as well. There's a particular way to search in Google for the marketing or the person you're looking for.
Is there really?
Okay.
So it may not actually be in their website, maybe on some other stuff that they've got on the web somewhere.
Is that right?
I'd have to look it up and send it to you. I'll send it to Jenny, she can send it out to you via email. There's a Google oh, actually I might have it in here. There's a Google tip that you key it in a particular way and it'll search for you.
Is that right? Oh, fantastic. Thank you. Yeah, Owen, what?
You put it in italics, 66.99, and that improves the search process as well.
What does it?
Yeah. And not only that, but if you Google the person's name or the company, you'll find other articles on them, and you'll have someone like a PR or a communications contact number.
Yeah,
so that's another way of going in as well.
If you don't know the name, you can just key in the position. So you might go HR director, particular
And the
client,
company name.
and it'll come up. It may not be on their website, but it might be somewhere else.
Ah, that's good.
I'm sure I've got it here. I'll see if I've got
Good.
it.
Well done. Okay. So, Stephen, did you have an idea?
Yeah, what's worked for me is when I say hello, introduce myself, and I'll generally say hello back. I say, may I speak to Peter, please? Christian name only.
Ah, right. Okay. Yes, that works sometimes too. Yeah, that's good. You feel like you know them already. Yeah.
Yeah, that gives any impression who I know.
Except if it's a big company,
Yes.
you can't do that. If it's a small company, yeah, for
Yes.
sure.
Peter who?
Okay, and of course you say it with a smile in your voice.
Well, the receptionist sometimes says, Peter who?
Yeah. Okay, so then,
Then you've got to get past, oh, what's it about? See, sometimes it works.
yeah, good. Okay, excellent. All right, so we can all get through to the gatekeeper now. Right. Now, how are we going to open the conversation when we get there? First thing you can do is have a referral. So if you have a referral, you can say, good morning, Mr. Smith. John Brown suggested I gave you a call. He's been very happy with the training that we've been providing for him and suggested I give you a call. So you're already in the door when you got a referral. Now, how can you get a referral when you don't have a referral? It's easy. If you're a good salesperson, you will always follow up the sale that you've made previously, so to find out whether the customer's happy. And when the customer's happy, they're very happy to give you a referral. And the way you ask for a referral is, who else could you help by us telling them about this service? So, not do you know, or you could say, do you know anybody else who might be interested? But sometimes people can't think, that's too vague, they can't think. But if you phrase it as, who else could you help in your life by us letting them know about this service? So having a referral is good. So you can get a referral by going back to the people who you've sold, ask them for a referral, then you've got a referral. But if you really can't find any way to get a referral, simply make those 2 calls. Ring the receptionist of a company, ask them all the questions you need to know, find out who you need to talk to, and then you can say when you go through, oh, good morning, Mr. Brand. This is blah, blah. Joe on reception suggested I should speak to you. You got your referral. Okay, so going in on a referral is really a good way to get in the door. Now, of course, that doesn't work all the time, so we have to have another strategy. Know something about the company or the person you're talking to. So you would have done your research by asking the receptionist some questions. So, for example, if I were ringing to get people to come on the public seminar here, I would look at the adverts for people advertising for telemarketers, and I would ring the number on the ad, and I would say, I understand you're advertising for telemarketers, and I might ask the receptionist, how many salespeople do you have there? How many telemarketers do you have there? And who is responsible for the training? Do you have your own in-house trainer? Blah, blah, blah. Find out all that from the receptionist. So by knowing, then when I know that, I get all the answers from the receptionist, I can then go in to my decision maker and say, oh, Mr. Jones, I understand that you're wanting to recruit 5 telemarketers. Is that correct? I've already done my homework. I've already got the rapport because I found out something about him. Or I saw your ad in the paper. Or I looked at your website and noticed. What did you notice? Pardon? Yeah, you noticed maybe they're expanding or they're advertising for new people or something that you've noticed about them. Okay. Now, I think, Cheryl, you're the only one who's calling homes, is that right? Okay. So, of course, it's great if you can have a referral. I know you do that sometimes with a referral, yeah? And of course, when you're ringing homes, you often get the child answering or something. So you know, you saw their ad in an article or in the newspaper about them maybe. You can refer to that. So you can refer to something you know about them. Or you just simply say, I'm calling you especially because, for some reason, like, I'm calling you, I used to use that in seminars, for example. I'm calling you especially because I know you're interested in highly motivational speakers because you went to see Anthony Robbins last time or something like that. Yeah.
We send out emails, and the tool that we use can track click-through, so we can see who's clicked on which links we've put in that email.
Right.
And we'd obviously like to follow up those people, especially if they've downloaded some information. However, we don't want to phone them up and go, we know you clicked on this, because it's too Big Brother-ish.
Ah, right, okay.
There might not be a past standing or a speaker. What do you say to them? I know you've got an interest, well, how do you know?
Okay, so well, then you might have to go in on not even mention that, but just say, I thought someone like you might be interested in the business that you're in, might be interested in. I thought someone like you, make them sort of feel like special. I thought someone like you might be interested in, and certainly if they've clicked on your material, you know they are anyway.
Mm.
But rather than sounding like Big Brother, you might have to go in that way. Yeah. Okay. All right. So there's some ways to open the call. That's what we call an opening. Now, sometimes you don't have any of those. And especially on a cold call, you don't know anything about the person. You can't find out anything. And you have to go in cold. So you would start with the next step. Now, from here on in, what we're doing is we're building up a script for you. So if you can get an opening, that's great. If you can't, then you start with the next step. And this is very important because we don't want you saying, I'm calling about our IT products, or I'm calling about our mathematics program, or I'm calling about our conference venues. We want you to have what we call an interest-grabbing statement. Now, an interest-grabbing statement is one sentence which can show someone, it can give someone, it can enable someone. It's a major benefit to the person you're talking to. So, for example, I don't ring up people and say, oh, good morning, Mr. Jones. This is Jenny Cartwright from Sales and Telesales Solutions. I do sales training. Well, that's boring. That's about me. Your interest-grabbing sentence has to be about the customer and the major benefit that you can give to the customer. So my opening sentence is, I showed salespeople how to increase their sales by 30% immediately. Because I want the person afterwards to be saying something like, well, how do you do that? Okay, that's what you want them to be asking after that interest grabber. So I want you to create an interest grabber for yourself. Now, to get this, what I suggest you do is that on the blank page opposite, you write down 5 benefits for your customer, what you give to your customer. So what do you do for your customer? Do you increase their sales? Do you save them money? Do you save them time? What are the 5 major benefits that you can offer your customer?
Just want one benefit. This is where you get too wordy. So you want to grab their interest because you're not selling.
Then when you've got your 5 benefits, change that to an interest grabber. So it can be, we can help you to do something, we can give you, we can show you, enable you to, and then whatever the major benefit is. That's how you open. So who would like to offer me an interest grabber? And I'll tell you whether I'm going to hang up on you or whether you're going to grab my interest. So what's the major thing that you do for people?
Well, there's almost too much to try to jam into the one. I guess the biggest thing...
We don't want to jam it, we just want one, like a big global benefit to the person we're talking to. So this this is just to get their interest. So all the other benefits come later in the presentation when you've earned the right to talk. All right, so this is where most people go wrong, because they come in with data dumping all over the person. And so let's get this. So what are your major benefits?
Well, the major benefit, I guess, is that it's, well, like, we help you grow your business.
So you can basically say, our financial planning service will enable you to grow your business exponentially or dramatically, or have an adverb at the end. This is just to get them in, okay? And because if you go on about all your benefits in that first opening, you've lost me. I'm like, I'm just in the middle of doing something and you're going to give me all this. Don't want to hear it. That's all you need, okay? Short, sweet, we don't want to bore the person. But that's the major benefit. Good, that's an excellent one. Craig, did you have one?
I kind of was trying to find out Google stuff as well, which I'll send to you. I think I've got it written down, not on my computer. We help learning and development professionals increase learning engagement.
Great, that's good. Like it. Can I borrow it? No, I like it. Dennis.
We help people to enjoy coming to work.
Oh, I like that. Okay, good.
It depends on who you're speaking to. If you're speaking to an HR or a training manager, you could say, we can help you manage your staff training needs.
We can help you to manage your staff training needs
They meet their requirements, their registration requirements.
more effectively, maybe. Yeah, that would grab my interest, but just we can help you manage your staff training needs wouldn't. All right, that's just a bit boring. People love to have things made easier, and they love to have it made more effective. So making things easy for people is a very good benefit. Cost and time, if people always want to save time, they always want to save money, but everyone says that, okay? So if you can find another one, that's good. Okay. Carol.
We provide professional MC services to help you run a stress-free event.
Oh, good. Okay. Excellent. So, but that's you said we can provide. We can provide you, because then it's about them. Just got to add the word you. Rather than we can provide A, we can provide you with, so it's a benefit to them. Subtle difference. Okay, so we don't want you data dumping all over everyone about what you've got. That's enough to say, because the best salespeople are good listeners. Now, what we do now is we ask them questions about what they need before we earn the right to go and dump over them what we've got. And there's certain rules about questions. So we need open-ended questions. An open-ended question begins with what, why, where, when, how, which, who. And this is a question which cannot get a yes or no answer, because it allows the customer to talk about what they want, and while they're talking about what they want, and we're listening, we've got 2 ears and 1 mouth, so use them in that proportion. While they're talking, we're listening, they're talking themselves into what they want, because they're telling you what they want if your questions are powerful enough. Now, what some people do is they'll start off with things like, do you have time to talk now? That is what we call a closed question, because it can get a yes or no answer. We want questions which will get a more elaborate response, so we learn more about the customer and we can listen to how we can sell them. So a question would be, what are you currently doing for training at the moment? Or where are you currently holding your conferences? Or what software are you currently using for such and such? So we need to ask the questions, not only beginning with what, why, where, when, how, which, who, but we need to ask questions which will give us the answers to the benefits that we're offering. So having written down those 5 benefits that you have, try to create a question around the benefit that you're offering. So for example, if I was selling a barbecue that you could move around the garden, and so it was portable, and it was easy to clean, my question to the customer would be, how easy is it to move your current barbecue around the garden? And they say, well, I can't, it's static. Okay, so how good would it be to have one that you could move around the garden? So it would be, how easy is your current barbecue to clean? Oh, it's a pain in the neck. So the questions should be around the benefits that you offer, but also people buy for 2 reasons. So we need to have our questions around, people buy to avoid pain or gain pleasure. So if you ask questions around the benefits of what you're offering, if you ask the questions around benefits, they're gaining pleasure, but then you might need to generate some questions which will avoid pain. So, which will actually create pain within the customer. So, I might say, well, how are you currently measuring the sales results of your salespeople? And most people, they don't. I mean, they just haven't got a system of any kind to do that. So, like, I'm creating pain. Okay, so how do you know how well that telemarketer is doing if you don't know how many calls they're making a day? Oh, well, we don't have a system for that. And then I'll ask another question, creating pain, like, so how many appointments are your salespeople getting in an hour? About 1. So how many would you like them to have? It's a pleasure question. Oh, and then we wish it was 5 an hour. So you by the questions that you ask, if you ask around the pain they might be experiencing, to generate pain with them, or to ask questions around the benefits, because when you start doing your sales presentation about what you have, you want to present the benefits that you ask your questions around. So what I'd like you to do now is generate 5 questions, open-ended, beginning with what, why, where, when, how, which, who, which could either gain pleasure or avoid pain for the person, or create pain for the person. Now, if you're looking for some ideas, a good question is, what's most important to you when choosing a new supplier? What's most important to you when making a decision on which venue you're going to use? When you do training, what sort of goals do you have for that? So what's most important to you? What is your buying criteria when selecting blah blah? If you want to change someone from something to someone else. How much time does it take you to recruit new people? If you can save people time, how much time are you spending on? Now make a note that it's okay to ask a why question, but if you can possibly change a why question to a how question, it's going to get you a better result. And if you've got a question there that is not beginning with what, why, where, when, how, which, who, it won't get you the same elaborate response. You'll only get yes or no, so you don't learn anything about the customer. Now there's another rule around questions. No more than 3 questions, otherwise it sounds like an interrogation. Okay, so 2/3 questions. Well, what I suggest you do is you generate a load of questions around pain and pleasure, and you have them by your side so that they're appropriate for the person. You can choose the ones that are appropriate for whoever you're talking to. That's enough, otherwise it's too much. And the other thing is, you ask your questions one after another. You don't stop and make a comment after each one. You make a comment after you've finished asking your questions. And we'll come to that in a minute. So let's hear some of your questions.
When you select a speaker and MC, do they make your conference memorable?
Do they make it? No. How memorable do they make your conference?
No.
All right, change to an open-ended. Craig.
What is your experience? What has your experience been in getting staff fully engaged into training? How do you feel about that? Why does this occur? What would be the benefits for your team, organisation if the level of engagement was increased? How could engagement be improved? What are some challenges you're having in your training and development team?
Perfect example. Great questions. Yeah.
What's the biggest challenge you're experiencing in your focus right now?
Great.
And how much time do you spend in that analysis?
Great. You see, you're engaging the customer with your questions because they're having to think about how to answer, and then you're engaging them. Okay, good. But Owen.
You can do a bit of a pre-frame by saying, do you mind if I ask you a couple of brief questions?
No, don't say do you mind if.
Do you
You
mind?
just say, in
Once
order to know exactly how this can apply to you, or in order to know how exactly how we can help you, may I ask you a couple of questions? Now, you don't wait for the answer, you go straight into your questions.
My follow-up to that would be if there was something you particularly wanted to address what would be your biggest priority right now.
Yeah, that's good.
And so it's saying if there was, it's not saying I know that
That's
you're
right.
stuck in this particular area right now, it's just saying on the off chance
That's right.
there is a possibility.
Right.
So very low key.
Okay. So, moving on, after our questions, we ask 2 or 3 questions. Then we have to demonstrate some listening skills. So, if I give you the barbecue example again. So, you said your current barbecue isn't easy to move around and it's very hard to clean. Is that correct? Is that correct? Is like, you know you're going to get a yes answer because they just told you, right? And we want to be looking for yes answers. So we ask a question as a listening skill. As a listening skill, we'll repeat back what they said, a couple of the main points. And we ask tie-down questions. So tie-down questions could be, is that correct? Or it could be, isn't it, doesn't it, wasn't it? So if you don't know how you measure the results, if you don't know how to measure the results of what your salespeople are doing, it might be a good idea to have a tool that does that for you, mightn't it? Mightn't it is a tie-down question because you know they're going to say yes because they just told you what they were looking for and what they wanted. So you're going to get their agreement on that. So it's a good idea to have training, isn't it? Doesn't it look good when you make 10 sales a day? It looks good, doesn't it? It can come at the beginning of the sentence or it can come at the end of the sentence. Okay. Or maybe I said that in a condescending way because it shouldn't be condescending.
But I'm just thinking, to me that would sound a bit, wouldn't that be a good idea?
All right, okay, no, well, we wouldn't put it like that. So we'd say like, so it sounds like it would be a good idea for you to attend this conference, wouldn't it? You know, say it in a softer tone. It sounds like, well, if you say that,
You're trying to get them to agree, is that?
yes, yeah, that's right. So basically it sounds like it will be a good idea for you to do something in this direction, doesn't it? Yes, Kai? Yeah, do you keep them nodding and saying yes? You know, that's what we want. So the tie-down questions are a listening skill because you're going to repeat back what they said. So you say that you are having difficulty measuring the results of your salespeople. So it sounds like it would be good to have a tool that does that. Or it sounds like you need a better plan for your financial affairs. It doesn't it? Let's have a look at that. Okay. So listening skills are important. So we ask the questions and we show that we are listening. So we can either, we like to go to page 11 in your books. Actually, it starts at the bottom of page 10. How to build rapport by becoming a good listener. Listen to people's tone to see if they're in a hurry or a good or bad mood. So that means that if somebody says, Jones, as soon as they answer the phone, you know they're very busy and they're not likely to want to talk to you. So you can say, I hear you're very busy at the moment. I can hear that you're very busy at the moment. When would be a better time for me to call you? So listen for people's tone to see if they're in a hurry or in a good or bad mood. Match their pace of speech. That's a listening skill. So they're talking very fast. You need to speed up a bit. Summarising on page 11 is restating the main points of what's been said to check for understanding. So in this example, For example, if I understand you correctly, you're saying that you were expecting someone to have phoned you back yesterday and now you're unable to proceed with the booking for personal reasons. Is that right? Tie-down question. And that would be maybe repeating back to the person exactly what they said. Another listening skill is paraphrasing, and that's repeating what you heard in your own words to check that you understood. For example, so what you mean is that had someone called you back yesterday as you were expecting, then we would have been able to know sooner that you were unable to go ahead with the booking. Is that correct? So that's just saying the same thing in different words. And then also a listening skill is acknowledging people's feelings. So this technique demonstrates empathy and encourages a more open level of communication. So in this example, it would be, I can appreciate that you would have been annoyed that no one called you back yesterday as they promised they would. So those are listening skills. Asking questions is also a listening skill because you've got to be very attentive to the answer. Now, listening for language patterns. This is a skill which we could do a whole weekend seminar on this. So I'm only going to introduce it today so that you can be aware of it, because part of learning is being aware, and then once it's in your mind, you'll be focusing on this for the rest of your life. And it's not something that you can get straight away. It's something you can practice. Now, if someone ever says that telemarketing is boring to me, I say try this. Try to start thinking about what words people are using. So people communicate in an auditory way, in a visual way, and in a kinesthetic way. So if people are visual, then they like to be seen, they like to be shown things, they like to see things. They would talk in that kind of a language. So they'll say, show me how you do it. Or I want to take a look at what you're doing in your business. Look is a visual word. Or I want to watch how you do it. Watch is a visual word. So people have to get a picture of those are the kind of words that they use. So I want to see that movie next week. So they'd use the word see as a visual word. Now, if they're auditory, they will want to hear things. So they'll use auditory words like talk to me, tell me more about it, say more about that. I've heard that movie's really good. So they will be using more auditory words. So in talk, tell. And then you've got the kinesthetic people who like to talk about how things feel. So, I get the feel of what you're doing. I want an experience of how this is. I want to get a sense of how this is. So they will want to get the feeling. They're the feely touch people. They're the people that give you a hug when they see you. They're the kinesthetic people. Now, we communicate in all three ways. We all have these ways inside us of communicating. However, in normal life, we tend to choose two out of the three, because we tend to favour 2 out of the 3. And we could be in an auditory mood one day, and we could be in a kinesthetic mood another day. So it's not, absolutely all the time. But we can use a listening skill, listening for people's language. Because this is very important when you close a conversation, because if somebody is a visual person and you say, it sounds like we should do business together, and they're more visual and kinesthetic, suddenly you've got through the whole conversation and you're slightly out of rapport, because you're talking about sound, which is auditory, and they've been using visual and kinesthetic language all the way through the phone call. So if you can pick up on these things, listen for their language. Now, this is a very advanced technique, so don't get hung up on the fact that oh God, this is complicated. All I want to do today, all I want to achieve with you is that you're aware of it and that you know what you personally are, what your chosen form of communication is. When you're listening to yourself talking in your head, do you talk in visual words, auditory words, or kinesthetic words? What's your favourite? Do you like to be shown things? Do you like to be told about things? Or do you want to get a feel and get to grips with things? So think about the language that you're using. Now, who's done NLP here? There's a few trainers in the room, so you all know this stuff, I expect, but I don't know whether you might have thought about how you could apply it to the phone. So at the close of a conversation, you know, if you say, I see what you're saying, and if I see what you mean, and someone's auditory, you need to be saying, I hear what you're saying. Now look, 95% of people don't know about this stuff, so you don't even you can go through life without knowing any of this. It's not, you know, but if you want the edge over the salespeople who don't know about this stuff, then you will have the edge just by knowing this stuff. So, in relationships generally, I mean, you can use this stuff in your life, and you can practice it on your families, and you can practice it on your friends. So when we go to lunch today, you can actually see what you think other people are, and watch for what other people are, and listen for what other people are. Now, I'm not good at drawing, but do you want to have just a little insight into how you can pick? So when you're at lunch, you can pick what other people are. So, for example, told you I wasn't good at drawing. The big smiley face. So, if you ask somebody a question in the past, so if I say to you, so what were you doing 5 years ago? All right? Your eyes will go, this is for past. If you're a visual person, your eyes will go up and to the left because you need to get a picture in your mind of how it was 5 years ago. Okay? So I'm visual, so I would automatically go like that. If you're auditory, your eyes will go across. And if you're kinesthetic, your eyes will go down. Now, have you seen people who talk down like this? It's not because they're shy. It's because they actually get their communication from within them. So they're getting their feeling of how to communicate. So they're not shy people. They just happen to look down when they talk. So if you ask someone about the future, then their eyes, if you say, what are you doing what will you be doing in 5 years' time, your eyes will go up and to the right if you're visual, across if you're auditory, and down if you're kinesthetic. So it's easy to pick it face to face. When you're on the phone, you've got to really listen hard for those words and use the same language back. Now, in relationships, this is quite profound because, you know, there wouldn't be so much divorce if people knew this stuff. For example, one girlfriend says to the other, oh, look, I don't think my boyfriend loves me anymore. And she says, well, that's a bit strange. I saw him bring you flowers the other day. So how can you say he doesn't love you? So if he brings flowers, what sort of person is he? Visual. Yeah. So the husband was obviously visual, so he brought the flowers because he thought that the girl would like that. So the girlfriend says to the other girl, so why do you say he doesn't love you? Oh, well, you know, I also saw him give you a hug the other day. What's that? Kinesthetic. So he'd done the visual and kinesthetic bit, but so the girl asked the other girl, well, so what's the problem? Gives you hugs, brings you flowers, how come you say he doesn't love you anymore? And he says, doesn't tell me he loves me. So, you know, when you first go out with someone, you do all three automatically. But then when the relationship becomes a bit more mundane, you sort of lilt into your favourite form of communication. So this is very powerful if you want to influence someone to do something, and we as salespeople want to influence people to buy. So we need to be talking the language of the other person. Now, who would like to do a demo up front? If you're not sure whether you're predominantly auditory, visual, or kinesthetic, because then you need to know what language you would be mostly using so that you can match the other person's language. So and it's always difficult, it's always more difficult to do the communication style of someone that you aren't naturally. So if you ever found there's someone in life that you don't actually get on with too well, or you think that, they're just hard to talk to, you're not on the same wavelength ever, you just tolerate them, they're in your company or in your life, and they're just hard to talk to. So you got some of those? Well, it's just purely this. What you now have to do is to work out whether they're auditory, visual, or kinesthetic predominantly, and then talk in their language back. So, my husband rings me up, and I say, oh, look, I've got a problem with the computer. I'm just hopeless at technology. So he starts telling me what to do. So I say, hang on. Just wait till you get home and show me how to do it, because I need to be shown how it's done, and I need him to talk at the same time, but I need to see what he's talking about. So, and often we marry the opposite, or we have a relationship with a person who's an opposite, and that's complementary, because then we've got all three communication modes in the family. But, you can influence people to do things. Like, if I have 2 teenage sons, well, I got one who's 18, and he's absolutely not auditory, because if you tell him to do something and he's sitting watching TV, I say, oh, Tim, could you get up and do the dishwasher? I might as well have said nothing happens. And then you start shouting, could you do the dishwasher, please? and nothing happens still. He just ignores me. But if I go and sit on the sofa next to him, put my arm around him and say, Tim, would you mind just jumping up and doing the dishwasher for me? Up he gets. It's all subconscious. He doesn't know why he does it. And I'm not going to teach him yet till he leaves home. And then the other son I have is a visual, very visual. So he has to see something for doing something. So if I say to him, "Could you unload the dishwasher for me, please?" Okay. If I do that, will you give me a lift to Chatswood? So he's got to see something for doing it. He's got to get something, so you can influence people by using the same language as they are. So if you want to persuade your partner to go to a movie and you're visual and he's auditory, then you don't say, I want to go see this movie, all the reviews look really good, they're all visual. You'd say, I've heard this movie's really good, let's go and what's another word we can use as auditory? Let's go and help me, Carol. You're an NLP expert. So I've heard this movie's really good. It sounds like we should go and check it out. Yeah, or if they're kinesthetic, I get a sense that we should go and go to this movie. All the reviews giving me great vibes. Giving me great. I want to have the experience of doing it.
Jenny, I read that once. I'm not sure if this is true or not, but I read once that it's actually past and the future depends on the left and the right hand.
Yeah.
So it'll be the opposite if you're left-handed as it is to right-handed. So what you've presented now is a right-handed person, and it's the opposite if it's a left-handed person.
Is that right? Is that correct?
That's what I read.
So how does that work?
I have not. I have not. No, I've not heard that. I will also say that sometimes if you are
It's
someone.
it's in one of Grimler's books.
Oh, right, okay. Well, that's
So-
interesting.
So it's not just somebody else commenting, it's actually the NLP guy, one of the
Oh.
NLP guys that talks about it.
All I know about is that if you've got a receiver of a phone, and you have it in your right ear, you're activating the left brain. If you have it in the left ear, you're activating the right brain. Your left brain is your more figures and facts, logical side, and your right brain is your creative side. So often when I'm on the phone, if I don't have a headset, I will have, if I'm just have an ordinary phone, I'll put it in my left ear when I'm doing a sales call because I want to be more creative with my message. So that's the only bit I heard about opposite sides. So that's quite important too. So if you've got a facts and figures person and they want actual facts, then you need to be having the phone in your right ear so that you can get your logical facts and figures brain going. All subconscious stuff, as I said. So who would like me to ask them a couple of questions? You can come to the front of the room and then I will, if they're not sure whether they're particularly auditory, visual, kinesthetic people. Who's going to volunteer? Yeah, okay, great. I don't want you to think about where your eyes are going, okay? You've got to forget all what I told you now. But just so they can demonstrate. There is, standing up, that's fine. So, Craig, what were you doing 5 years ago?
What was I doing 5 years ago?
Okay, you can sit down now. We know what you are. Well, you see, he looks down to answer the question. Okay, all right.
Okay.
What do you think? What do you think you'll be doing in 5 years' time?
I'm going to be doing a lot more speaking. I'll be on the more on the professional circuit doing more keynotes. I've been training for 15 years, so I'm going to be doing a lot more keynotes in the next 5 years' time.
And how are you going to get that business?
How am I going to get it? Good question.
Okay, thank you for that demo. Who thinks they're visual? Okay, do you want to go there? No? All right, I'm going to ask you a question sitting there then. What's your favourite boyfriend look like? Have you got a boyfriend at the moment?
Yeah.
And what's he like?
What's
What's he like?
Like his looks?
Yeah, see how she looked up? No, you couldn't see her back there. Look at you're visual, very visual. Yeah, and kinesthetic as well. You've got to build the value of your price in that presentation because that's a concern for the person. So listening for negative responses as well is a good listening skill because that will give you clues to what people want. It's very important that you do that. Now, if we could turn to page 13. I want you to know now that you have actually done a script for an appointment except for the close. Because when we are making appointments on the telephone, this is the process that we use, and you have done all this already. We introduce ourselves and verify we're speaking to the person who can make decisions on the product or service. So we offer a building rapport opening statement. If you have one, you know something about them or you have a referral. You then do your interest grabber. So you're going to help them to do something, save them, give them, whatever. You qualify their eligibility with open-ended questions. Sometimes if you just want to make an appointment with someone, you don't have to ask the questions, but you can get away without it if you just want to go for the appointment. But the thing with appointments is that you are selling the appointment. You are not selling your product or service. So you need to get in the door with the appointment. You can sell when you get there. So you don't need to talk about what you can ask your questions, put in your listening skills. So actually there's another step after qualify their eligibility with open-ended questions. You might want to put in their listening skills, demonstrate listening skills. So repeat back what they said to the answers of the questions and have a tie-down question like, is it correct, or is that correct, or it would be a good idea to get together, wouldn't it? And then you go for the close. So it sounds like it would be a good idea for us to meet. Doesn't it? You can even add a doesn't it there. Which day next week would suit you better? Now the way, and give a choice. The way you get an appointment is you ask an open-ended question, which day would suit you better? When would you like to get together? And give a choice, Monday or Tuesday, or 10 o'clock or 12 o'clock. Because they can't say yes or no to that. They just, they have to say something specific. So we need to go for the close for the appointment. So it sounds like it would be a good idea for us to get together. Which day next week would suit you better, Monday or Tuesday? Go for the close. So you might want to spend a couple of minutes, and then we'll go to lunch, just putting that little script together, or you can do it over lunch if you need to leave promptly at 1. But I'd like you to just put your opener. You've got it all written down already anyway, maybe on the opposite page. You've got a blank page, or I've got some spare paper if you'd like some here. And I would like you to just to put that script together if you can before you go to lunch. Just so that you've got it. So I want you to make an appointment with me after lunch. I want some volunteers. So you put that little script together. So say if we go to lunch 5 minutes late, it's 5 minutes. If you have to go, I understand that, and please leave now, and you can do it at home or whatever. And one other little thing I should have said for a close is sometimes people are resistant to having an appointment with you because they've already got a provider, they don't want to see anyone new. You could say, I realise you may not want to do any work with us immediately, but at least when we meet, not if we meet, when we meet, you'll be well informed for the future. What day would suit you? It kind of takes the sting out of it, so that's another way of closing an appointment. So acknowledging that they may not want to do business with you right now, but at least if they see you, they'll know who to contact for the future, and they'll be well informed for the future. Okay, who's ready to make an appointment with me? Malay, you're looking ready. No? Okay, Stephen, you're ready. Off you go.
Hello, Jenny. I'm Stephen Robertson. Did you make the decisions regarding staff training?
Okay, that's a closed question. You need to have found that out first up.
I thought that was the...
Are you going to the receptionist first? To ask who the decision maker is?
I'm sorry.
When you're going to the receptionist, you'd ask who, because this is a script. Like,
Verify you are the person speaking to who can...
oh, right. Okay. So yeah, then you could read it like that. What I meant was like you're already going into the decision maker. So you already know the name, so you know that he's a decision maker, so then you start from there. Yeah, okay. So like that's the bit you do with the receptionist first.
Right, okay.
Then you get to the decision maker, so what would you say?
So I understand you make the decisions regarding staff training.
Yes, that's right.
Fantastic. We train people to speak with strength and confidence.
Oh, great.
How satisfied are you with the way your staff currently present proposals?
Well, a bit iffy there.
Is there a way that you would like to see them improve?
Okay.
Or what way can they improve?
Okay, change this question to an open-ended question.
Yes, sorry.
How specifically could they improve?
How specifically can they improve?
Yeah, great. Well, I think that what basically they need to know how to practice more. Okay.
I'd like to talk to you more about speaking up, a presentation skills and confidence program. Would that be okay?
Well, could be interesting. How long will it take?
15 minutes.
Okay. So now you get.
Would next week be okay? Monday or Tuesday?
Okay, Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Okay.
Would you prefer before lunch? Would that be okay before lunch?
before, you say before, give a choice, before lunch or after lunch?
Before lunch or after lunch?
Okay, good. After lunch, thank you.
After lunch, somewhere between 2 and 3 or 3 to 4.
2 or 3. 2 between 2 and 3.
2:30?
Okay, give him a hand. You got it. Excellent. All right, are you ready, Alistair? I can't go around everybody, but if what I would ask is that people people fax me their scripts after the course, and I'm very happy to proof that for you, because sometimes it takes longer to do than what we've had time for here. So you're very welcome to fax me your scripts, and when we go on to do a presentation this afternoon, likewise fax it to me. Is that Alistair?
Okay, good morning, my name's Alistair McDonald, I'm calling from IPAC Securities. You have a number of clients invested with us. As you know, IPAC is a financial planning business just like yours. We'd like to offer you the opportunity to grow your business through a strategic partnership. What rate is your business currently growing at?
Well, in what way?
EBIT, like basically how the growth rate, annual growth rate, say.
Oh, well, we grew last year by 10%.
Okay. And what is the biggest challenge you face in running an advice business?
Getting the customers, getting the appointments.
Yeah. And as the principal, what is your current exit strategy from the business?
Oh, we don't have one actually.
Well, look, we can certainly offer assistance in every one of these areas, and it sounds like it would be a good idea for us to meet and discuss these further opportunities. So, is Tuesday, Wednesday of next week good for you?
Okay, so which day next week would suit you better? Tuesday or Wednesday?
Yep.
Remember, have the which or the what day
Mm-hmm.
is a better for open-ended question, yeah?
Yep.
But you gave the choice, so you got away with it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good. Give him a hand.
Well done.
Yeah, well done. Excellent. That's sounding much better than I bet before. The other thing is, what I would do is I would change your opening because it's a bit too long. You lost me already.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah,
it's
that's-
too wordy.
That's the challenge as well, because these aren't really like cold calls, so it's almost sort of like they have to listen. I mean, we could be calling to say, like, this one of your investments, one of your clients has had this problem or that problem, so like, it's almost as if they've got to stay on the line to sort of hear, because we do sort of already have their money
Ah, right,
cinched,
okay.
so it's more like trying to
It's a
get
bit
more out of
easier.
it. So yeah, I mean, I know, I was conscious of that when I was writing it, but I thought, it's probably
Okay.
maybe get away a little bit.
All right. Okay, anyone want to run a quick one? And then we must go to lunch. Because you must be starving. Yes, Dennis?
Yep. Okay. Hello, John. Dennis is my name. My company is the Circus of Life. I understand you organise the programs for your conferences.
I do.
Right, now, with our sessions, we always make you and your company look good with rave reviews. Now, when you, just a couple of questions, John. When you select your speakers or MCs, what's your main criteria?
Oh, they have to engage the audience and they have to be interesting.
Right. Okay. I think that wanting them to engage the audience, and what was the other thing you said?
And be of interest.
Yeah, and have them interesting. That's right up our alley. I think it'd be great if we could have a get together. Would you be able? When would you be able to meet?
Okay,
Probably
you
be
might
quick,
have to
isn't it?
say.
I'm probably a bit quick on it there, aren't I?
You might have to say, I'd love to get together with you to show you what I can do for your company.
Yeah.
What day would suit you better? So it's what you can do for them, not just I'd love to get together with you. I'd love to get together with you to show you how I can do this for your company. What day would it be? Okay. All right, great, give her a hand, yay! All right, so that's for making an appointment. This afternoon we'll do how you make a presentation if you're doing the whole thing on the phone. But we've got lots more to learn, so
Yay!
I want to make sure that you did learn something this morning. So I'd like to just ask a few questions, and I might start with Barry. The idea is to catch the ball. Now, Barry, tell me, what are some ways that we could change our tonality to get positive attitude and enthusiasm over the phone?
Smile.
Smile. Anything else?
You've also got your positive attitude.
Yep.
And also speed.
Yeah, the speed. We've got to watch our speed. All right, so what begins with E? What did you do to?
Enthusiasm.
Yeah, well, to emphasize. Emphasize the words. Okay, great. Well done. And standing up, of course. No, I mean when you just... You can stand for the whole time. You'll have more energy. It'll be fantastic. So, Shabniz, tell me, okay, a voice exercise that you can do to make your voice sound fantastic.
A-E-I-O-U.
Yeah, that's right. Do you remember any more? Humming, yeah.
Yeah. Tongue exercise.
Yes. Remember that one for the car, huh?
And tongue twister.
Yeah, the tongue twister. Good. Okay, great. Carol, what's it most important to do before you ever pick up the phone? Like, what do you think of before you pick up the phone?
To be prepared, you have your script worked out, your questions worked out,
Yeah.
and you do the smile and the enthusiasm.
Yeah, and to have a goal, like, okay, what do you want to achieve? Have an objective. That's right. Great. Stephen, one for you. What's an open-ended question? What's an open-ended question? What's an
Where
open?
are you going with that question? How? What? Why?
That's
how,
right.
When? Where?
Good. Okay, because it's a question which can get a what answer, or it can't get a
Communication.
it can't get a yes or no.
It's communication.
You get a better response when you ask an open-ended question. Yeah, good. Okay. Malay, how good's your catching?
Oh.
How good's my throwing? I should ask. What is a tie-down question?
Isn't it, couldn't it?
Yeah, and what kind of response does that get?
Mostly positive, because you know what you're going to get out of it.
Did you have one, Stephen, already? Alistair, describe this to me in an auditory way.
It sounds like a good idea if I throw it back now before you ask me.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, excellent. That's a hard one. All right, so who hasn't had a question? Okay, what are the most important qualities a telemarketer has to have?
You've got to be being
testing.
positive.
Yeah.
Being positive before
Yeah.
you start. You've got
Yeah,
to make sure that you're in a positive frame of mind.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Is there another P?
And there's another is an E.
Empathy and enthusiastic.
Enthusiastic,
Oh.
yay. Okay, well done. All right, Anya, did you get a question?
Did you put up your hand here?
Question for you is, how can you stay positive when you don't feel positive?
Have a smiley face on your desk.
Yeah, good idea.
And have some positive quotes around and
Yeah.
revisit your goals and objectives.
Yes. And exercise.
Little voice on my shoulders to exercise.
Yeah, okay,
We're
good.
going to have regular breaks.
Yeah. Are we all done? Everyone had a question? Good. So we've certainly taken something on board this morning. And we also learned how to make an appointment. And remember, we sell the appointment, not the product or service. So we need to close for that appointment.